The Russian bridge across the Kerch Strait became one of the objects around which active hostilities could take place during the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation into Ukraine. When Russia began to use it in military logistics, the armed forces declared their intention to destroy this transport crossing. Many imagined it as the collapse of the bridge into the Black Sea. He is still standing in the 4th year of military operations, although he no longer fully fulfills his functions, primarily military ones. What is happening today on the Kerch Bridge and how it is covered with restrictions, we tell in the article Crim.Reli. Defense forces of Ukraine attacked him 3 times. Every time it was managed to put it out of order for a short time, and every time the Russian authorities restored it. Today, the bridge continues to function, but it is no longer able to fully perform its functions. It does not serve heavy-duty vehicles, electric cars and hybrids, and all those who are allowed to cross it undergo enhanced control procedures. Crim.Reli tell about 5 restrictions and prohibitions that were introduced on the Kerch Bridge against the backdrop of attacks by the defense forces of Ukraine. The first attack on the Kerch Bridge happened in October 2022. At that moment, Russia actively bombarded Ukraine from the Black Sea and transferred its troops along this transport route to the southern front of the mainland of Ukraine. In October 2022, the Russian authorities banned the passage of trucks on the Kerch Bridge for safety reasons. This was the first significant traffic ban on this transport facility. All the trucks were turned around and sent to a detour along the land corridor through the territories of Ukraine occupied by Russian troops during the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation in Ukraine. They also recommend Russian tourists to get to Crimea along it, but there is no traffic ban on the Kerch Bridge for them yet. After the first attack of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Kerch Bridge, the Russian authorities were forced to resume the Kerch ferry crossing, which had previously been closed due to necessity. The second strike of the defense forces of Ukraine on the Kerch Bridge happened in July 2023. Marine surface drones, Sea Baby, destroyed the span of the automobile part of the bridge. The damage led to traffic problems. The Russian authorities sent passenger cars through the Kerch ferry crossing and bus passengers along the surviving railway branch of the Kerch Bridge on electric trains, but it was temporary. Soon the movement was resumed again, but after that only cars and passenger buses were allowed to drive on the Kerch Bridge. In the context of the military actions of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, the Crimean authorities under the control of Moscow prohibit the removal of the Kerch Bridge for safety reasons. This is bad news for tourists who liked to be photographed against the background of bridge arches. From November 2025, there is a new ban on the Kerch Bridge for all electric cars and hybrids. This measure was introduced on the basis of the recommendations of law enforcement and law enforcement structures and is aimed at ensuring the safety of road traffic and transport infrastructure, Russian authorities said. Russian experts believe that it's all about traction batteries of electric cars, which are difficult to quickly and effectively check for hidden threats. Signs prohibiting the passage of electric vehicles have already been installed at the entrances to the Kerch Bridge. Also, drivers at checkpoints now fill out a form in which they indicate the type of their car, make, model, number, and category. Owners of electric cars, hybrids, and cargo transport are offered by the Russian authorities to go to the Crimea along the land corridor where there is a shortage of charging stations. At the end of November 2025, the Russian authorities introduced new restrictions on the Kerch Bridge. Now they have stopped allowing minibuses without a cabin there. Russian publications write, from the side of the Tamani, minibuses with dismantled seats are deployed. They are used as trucks, and according to the documents, they are considered to be passengers, says the Russian telegram channel Mash on Volne. While Russian dictator Vladimir Putin tirelessly threatens Europe with war, his illegitimate daughter lives peacefully in the territory her father hates. TSN journalists found Elizaveta Krivonogik, the illegitimate daughter of the Kremlin leader, in Paris and offered to help stop Russian shelling of Ukraine. Specifically, the correspondent suggested she come to Kiev to, so to speak, act as air defense, but she declared that she couldn't help in any way. Media outlets previously reported that Putin's illegitimate daughter lives in Paris and collaborates with local galleries. Journalists met her near one of these galleries. At the meeting with the Ukrainian film crew, Krivonogik initially appeared frightened and stated that she had not given permission for filming. However, she did not deny that she was Putin's daughter. 3 weeks ago, your father killed my brother. How do you even live in Europe, in such hateful, cursed Europe? The journalist asked Putin's daughter during their meeting. In response, she tried to remain silent, hiding her face. However, a short dialogue ensued. In particular, the correspondent asked her how she felt about her father's politics, to which she responded with one phrase, "What does it have to do with me?" Journalist: "Well, that's your father, and at the very least you could call him and say, 'Dad, stop shelling Kiev.'" Krivonogik: "Well, of course." Journalist: "You can come to Kiev and act as an air defense force. It's better than any patriot. Go to Pokrovsk." Krivonogik: "Well, you can imagine me, right? How I'm going to go now." Journalist: "I can imagine it perfectly well." Krivonogik: "Unfortunately, I can't help in any way. I'm very sorry." At this point, the dialogue ended. Earlier, media reported that Krivonogik spoke out for the first time about Russia's war against Ukraine and hinted that she's suffering because of her relationship with Putin. For the first time in years, she published open photographs and admitted the pain she feels from being related to the man who took millions of lives and destroyed them. For the first time, she posted nude selfies and wrote in one of the posts, "It's so wonderful to show the world my face again. It reminds me every day who I was born to be and who ruined my life. The man who took millions of lives and ruined mine." In all likelihood, she is referring to the appearance she inherited from her father. Social media and journalists are seeing a clear genetic similarity between her facial features and Putin's. However, she doesn't directly mention Putin's name. She was born on March 3rd, 2003 in St. Petersburg. According to Russian media investigations, her mother was close to Putin and dramatically increased her wealth after her daughter's birth. The father field on her birth certificate is blank, but her patronymic is listed as Vladimirovna. Louise moved to France after 2022, ending her public life in Russia. However, before the war, she was often criticized for flaunting her lavish lifestyle on social media, private jets, designer clothes, and DJing in trendy clubs. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began, she fled the country. In one post, she wrote that she could no longer return to her beloved St. Petersburg and felt trapped in a golden cage. For a long time, she remained silent about the war or her origins. Earlier in 2024, the Russian artist in exile refused to collaborate with the Parisian galleries where she curated anti-war exhibitions. This prompted her first direct comment on the topic. "Am I really to blame for the actions of my family who don't even listen to me?" But the general opinion of her colleagues was rather positive. "She's a very sweet girl. Is it her fault who her parents are?"